Hi vegans, happy new year and happy Veganuary. I honestly can't believe I'm saying that, but it's officially January of 2023. And because it's Veganuary and the start of the new year, and this time can be a little bit overwhelming as far as thinking about lifestyle changes and setting New Year's resolutions, I thought it would be the perfect time to share this video. I have been vegan for almost 8 years at this point, so it's been a long time. And I'm so excited to be working with Whole Foods to share some of my favorite tips to eat more plant-based during the new year, or how to make that transition into the vegan diet or lifestyle if that's something that you're looking to do. When I first went vegan, Whole Foods was truly a haven for me. I was in college and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I always knew that I could find vegan alternatives and just vegan-friendly food as well as incredible produce at Whole Foods. So making my bi-weekly trips to Whole Foods was something that I looked forward to. To this day, it's still one of my favorite stores to shop at, and I actually was recently in Arizona and I was so excited to see one in Sedona. My family and I have all been shopping at Whole Foods for so long, including my grandparents, which makes me so happy. Whole Foods Market is like the headquarters of better for you swaps and healthy shopping options. So I always think it's a great place to look for inspiration to start the year fresh. They make it a little bit easier for me by doing the ingredient homework for me. Personally, I'm a huge advocate for taking small steps and making swaps here and there and kind of building up to a more sustainable lifestyle change versus going cold turkey, or I guess I should say cold tofu, and being really extreme about a lifestyle change. Oftentimes when we make really drastic changes, it's really difficult to sustain the changes because it's just a lot happening at once. And not only that, but I'm sure if you watch my videos, you know that I fully believe in just eating more plants. If making a couple of swaps here and there is realistic and sustainable for you, that's always better than nothing. So because I have been doing this for almost 8 years now, I want to share some of my best tips with you and also some of the swaps that I would recommend starting with. My first tip is to switch to plant milk, oat milk, or any kind of alternative milk. Milk is used in so many different applications, like lattes every morning, cereal, what else? Oatmeal, or whatever morning drink that you're enjoying. And I feel like this is one of those swaps that is really underrated because it seems like such a small thing, like just a latte, but switching to something that you drink every single day ultimately has a really big impact when you add it all up. And I think, honestly, plant-based milks are one of the arenas in which I think we've really excelled. I feel like oat milk, for example, is a huge crowd pleaser. And if you're ever shopping at Whole Foods, you can check out the non-dairy section. And it's honestly almost a little bit overwhelming these days because you could find all kinds of milk, from peanut milk, hemp milk, oat milk, rice milk. What else is there? Soy milk, cashew milk. And a lot of people do have a little bit of trouble digesting dairy. So I feel like switching at least the milk that you use to make your daily latte could make a really tremendous impact without you even really realizing it. So I feel like this is a really great place to start. And if you're new to plant milks, I would definitely recommend oat milk because I find that it tends to be a pretty solid crowd pleaser for most people. The second swap has to do with vegan meat alternatives. I think automatically we think about Beyond Burgers, Impossible Meat, vegan hot dogs and products like that, but you can actually use plants like mushrooms as an amazing meat alternative. And mushrooms are one of my favorites personally because they have a little bit of like that umami flavor and also a nice meatiness to it depending which mushroom you're using. Other favorites are of course tofu. I absolutely love tofu. And one of my favorite vegan chicken alternatives is daring chicken, which you can find at Whole Foods in the freezer section. The breaded tenders, which are gluten-free, are just amazing. Just pop them in the air fryer and you have like an instant snack or meal. But I think one thing that people get wrong is that when they start eating more plants, they don't take the time to treat their vegetables as they would meat. So I feel like when people cook animal protein, it's really common to spend time marinating it, tenderizing it, seasoning it really well, and then being really meticulous about the cooking method. When it comes to vegetables, a lot of people just simply steam, throw it in the microwave, throw it in the pan with just salt and pepper, and of course it's not going to be as delicious when you don't take the time. But in my opinion, any good home cook can treat a vegetable and make it taste delicious. I think it requires a little bit of a mindset shift, but if you start thinking about your vegetables and how to make them as delicious as possible, it actually becomes kind of a fun challenge. So this would apply to things like making a mushroom taco meat, which obviously involves a lot of seasoning, or a marinated grilled eggplant as like a meat substitute. The sky is really the limit when it comes to how you're preparing your plants, so really take the time to get creative in the kitchen and play around with vegetables. And don't forget to go heavy on the seasoning, okay? Seasoning is important for your vegetables too. Actually, especially for vegetables. Swap number 3 is vegan dairy, vegan alternatives. So products like vegan cheese, yogurt. I feel like dairy is a really hard one for some people to give up because it does taste really good. I was a big cheese lover growing up, so that was a tricky one for me at first. And I think the vegan alternatives are so incredible for that time where you're first making that transition. I would actually recommend that one step you could take is to look for direct replacements for the food that you're already eating. If you're a big burger person, try a vegan burger and try to replicate it with the same cheese, but find a vegan alternative and a vegan patty, and the rest you can kind of keep the same. Sometimes I think that when we're switching to a new diet or lifestyle, eating food that is completely different than what we're used to can be a little bit jarring. So start off by looking for good replacements for the things that you really love to eat so that you'll enjoy what you're eating. This next tip is one of my favorites, and I think it really applies to any kind of diet or lifestyle change that you're making, and it's just to think about adding instead of removing. Because a lot of the times when we think about vegan food, we think about all the things we can't eat, but I actually found that focusing on the things that we can eat or the variety of vegetables and produce that exists, it's just more of an abundance mindset, and I think a more positive way of thinking about the lifestyle change that you're making. And as you're cooking, I think use the same mindset and apply that method too. So maybe you start with your regular plate of dinner, and instead of cutting out the meat completely, maybe you do a half portion and you add more vegetables to the plate, and then just slowly start to add more and more until it becomes a fully plant-based plate. Other tips include to try seasonal ingredients. There's always a fun array of vegetables to choose from at Whole Foods. Because Whole Foods has such an incredible variety, I think it's also a really fun place to just pick a foreign ingredient or something that you've never tried before and try to create a dish from that new ingredient. Also, don't forget that a lot of staples that you're eating right now are already vegan. So most breads, most pastas, rice is always vegan. These are staple ingredients that you don't have to change at all. And my last tip is just to be aware of nutrition and supplements that you might need. B12 is absolutely essential for any vegans or anybody eating a plant-based diet, those who are vegetarian, and even actually omnivores these days. But especially when you're transitioning to a vegan diet, it can be a lot more difficult to obtain it through food. And supplementing is really important because it can make the transition really difficult if you're struggling with a B12 deficiency. It's all about just making sure that your bases are covered. So while you can eat enriched foods, like soy milk is often fortified with B12, some cereals, I think it's one of those things that if you're eating plant-based or vegan, that you really want to make sure you're covered. And so I recommend a daily multivitamin. I've been taking Rituals for about 4 or 5 years now, and it's a vegan-friendly formula. You can find it at Whole Foods too now, which is incredible. I hope these tips will be helpful for you if you're thinking about eating more plants in the new year. Just remember that this time of year can feel a little stressful because there can be so much overwhelming new year, new me. And I can tell you that one of the best ways to make a lasting change in your life and a sustainable change really is to take it slow and take small steps. Huge thank you to Whole Foods for sponsoring today's video. If you'd like to see a more complete grocery list, I have one linked in my description box, and you can check out Whole Foods to find any of the products that I mentioned and so many more. Let me know in the comments below if you're thinking about eating more plants this year, going plant-based, going vegan, or where you're at. And I also have a couple more videos on my channel that you can check out that will help you along your vegan journey. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend or family member that needs to eat more plants in the new year. See you in another one soon. Bye.